with 5 seconds. Luka LeBron for the win!
LeBron attempted a difficult turnaround fadeaway at the buzzer, but the shot hit the front of the rim so hard it nearly struck a cameraman. The buzzer sounded, and the Lakers lost a game many believed they should have won comfortably. According to the account, LeBron was the first to leave the court, walking off without speaking to his teammates. However, the moment that drew the strongest frustration came earlier in the fourth quarter and largely went unnoticed amid debates about the final shot on social media. With the Lakers down by 1, LeBron went to the free throw line for 2 shots. He made the first, but missed the second badly off the back iron. Had he converted that attempt, the game would have been tied, and the last-second situation might never have occurred. Instead, in the post-game interview, he reportedly maintained a calm expression.
I'm not sure. I mean, obviously you have to ask Luka what he saw on that, but I thought he had a good look.
He appeared to place the blame squarely on his teammate during the post-game interview, without acknowledging his own missed free throw or the team the game. What made the situation more striking was that, in his own press conference, Dončić reportedly took full responsibility, saying he needed to perform better and that the loss was on him, an approach many view as leadership in defeat, where you can direct a voice, create realistic dialogue, and so much more. Edit these placeholders to get started.
I mean, I just saw him open. I didn't want to lose the ball. I knew we're going to have timeouts, but like I said, should have picked up the ball. I should attack. I thought I was getting a clear look, but that's on me.
Just when it seemed the drama would stay on the court, the situation reportedly took a darker turn. Instead of ignoring the comments, Luka Dončić learned about them almost immediately after. The hallway was quiet in the tense aftermath of a narrow loss when a teammate pulled him aside and showed him a clip of LeBron James's remarks. Dončić reportedly stopped in his tracks, processing the implication that he had been blamed for the outcome. Calm on the surface, but clearly upset, he turned and headed back toward the media area where James was still seated. Teammates noticed the shift in his demeanor and tried to intervene, but he continued forward with purpose. According to the account, Dončić confronted James directly, telling him in a low voice not to mention his name to the media again. James responded immediately, jumping to his feet, and the confrontation escalated into a heated exchange. Shoving broke out, chairs were knocked over, and the commotion drew security into the room. Several teammates, including Austin Reeves and Marcus Smart, reportedly stepped in to separate them and prevent the situation from worsening. Even as they were pulled apart, the shouting continued, with accusations flying about leadership and closing games. The tension, according to insiders cited in the story, may have deeper roots dating back earlier in the season, suggesting an ongoing strain between the two stars. Some reports have even claimed the relationship was largely professional rather than personal, with communication limited to on-court matters and public appearances. Whether exaggerated or not, the episode, if accurately described, painted a picture of a locker room conflict that went far beyond a single missed shot or post-game comment.
LeBron and Luka don't really talk.
In NBA terms, people often describe that kind of tension as a working relationship, which essentially means two players coexist professionally without any real personal connection. By the February 27 game, even that fragile balance reportedly appeared to be gone. A viral video showed LeBron James and Luka Dončić entering the arena far apart, avoiding eye contact, handshakes, or even a nod, fueling speculation that tension had been building for some time. For the Los Angeles Lakers, that kind of visible disconnect between two superstars raised concerns about the team's direction, as championship contenders typically rely on strong on-court chemistry and leadership unity. The narrative then shifts to performance, arguing that statistics tell a clearer story than the public blame game. Critics point to advanced lineup analytics from 2026, suggesting the team performs significantly better when Dončić and Austin Reaves share the floor without James, posting a strong positive net rating. In those stretches, ball movement, spacing, and offensive flow reportedly improve. However, when all three players share the court, the numbers decline, implying a less effective lineup combination. While interpretations of such data can vary since context, matchups, and sample size matter, the contrast has fueled debate about roles, fit, and whether the team's roster construction is maximizing its stars. Ultimately, the situation illustrates how quickly public perception can shift in high-pressure environments, especially when expectations are championship level and every statistic.
Critics argue that on the court, the fit has looked awkward at times, with LeBron James operating in areas that limit driving lanes for install, with spacing tightening, and Reaves seeing fewer on-ball opportunities. The frustration has reportedly grown to the point where even some former Los Angeles Lakers greats have voiced concern. Among them, Byron Scott, a three-time champion from the franchise's famed Showtime era, publicly criticized the situation, arguing that changes might be necessary and that James may need to consider moving on.
Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reaves play together. They're just not a good team.
The idea of a franchise icon openly suggesting that the team's leader should move on is striking, but supporters of that view argue it reflects James, who, in their opinion, is increasingly focused on his brand and long-term interests rather than the franchise's future development. Whether fair or not, that perception has fueled debate about the team's direction. The dissatisfaction is not limited to former players associated with the Lakers either. Charles Barkley has repeatedly voiced strong opinions on television, arguing that it may be time for James to play his final season with the team and step aside so the roster can evolve. Where you can direct a voice, create realistic dialogue, and so much more. Edit these placeholders to get started.
Play together. When it's just the two of them out there, the Lakers are an excellent team. When all three of them play out there, they're not. So
critics argue that Luka Dončić should be entering his prime as a franchise centerpiece, yet instead appears confined within a system that still revolves heavily around LeBron James. According to this viewpoint, whenever Dončić begins to assert control, the offense shifts back toward James, creating a stop-and-start rhythm that can feel stagnant to watch. Supporters of this argument say the concern is no longer limited to analysts or commentators. Some former stars and Hall of Famers have dominate credit in success and then fade into the background when the stakes rise. Meanwhile, Charles Barkley has delivered even sharper commentary on television, criticizing what he perceives as a tendency for James to deflect blame during difficult stretches. Together, these opinions, fair or not, illustrate how intensely leadership, accountability, and team identity are scrutinized when expectations are championship level.
Not in the NBA, just here.
No, just here.
Okay.
You know, I really.
You don't gotta go home, but you gotta go.
The tension, according to critics, extends beyond the locker room and social media and touches the franchise's historical identity. When outspoken Hall of Famers like Shaquille O'Neal and Charles Barkley question a star's leadership, it fuels debate about whether the Los Angeles Lakers are living up to their legacy. The franchise has long thrived on dominant superstar pairings, most famously the volatile but wildly successful duo of Kobe Bryant and O'Neal. Despite their well-documented personal clashes, they delivered 3 straight championships, largely keeping internal conflict behind closed doors and letting results speak publicly. Earlier eras had their own turmoil too. Magic Johnson famously pushed for a faster Showtime style in the early 1980s, but those conflicts were framed as efforts to elevate the team's performance rather than hold it back. Critics now argue that the current situation feels different, suggesting public narratives and post-game messaging are amplifying division instead of masking it. Some observers also point to modern power dynamics in the league, including the influence of player representation and media cycles, as factors that make contemporary conflicts more visible and complicated than in past decades. Skeptics claim this environment can shape headlines in ways that shift blame or spotlight from one star to another, especially when expectations are sky high. As a result, debates about accountability have followed LeBron James throughout his career, from his departure from Cleveland in 2010 after a playoff loss to Boston, to the formation of the Miami Super Team alongside Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, and later partnerships with stars such as Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, and Russell Westbrook. Each era produced its own narratives about leadership, sacrifice, and responsibility, often shaped as much by media interpretation as by on-court reality. In the current storyline, critics argue that Luka Dončić represents a new generation unwilling to accept a secondary role indefinitely, especially during his prime years. They frame the situation as a potential crossroads for the franchise, whether to transition fully toward a younger core or continue building around an aging superstar with one of the longest and most accomplished careers in league history. Supporters of James counter that such scrutiny is inevitable for a player of his stature and longevity.